Our 7 o'clock skill development session with Saga Action Arts. Just gonna get everything set. Can I do that real quick? Okay. Make sure the volume is off. It is.
Yeah. Oh, you gotta click it. Now the volume's good.
Now the volume's on. Yeah.
All right, cool. So, last night we said we would be doing another 7 p.m. session because we've been having a ton of fun with this. This is going to be a slightly abbreviated one, even more so than last night was supposed to be. But the big goal here tonight is for us to just give you a little bit more curriculum to play with. We will most likely be taking a break from the 7 p.m. class tomorrow night. However, stick around until the end and you'll hear about our offerings for tomorrow. The one thing that I will state ahead of time, the morning routine is going to stay consistent until I tell you I need a break. So I will definitely still be here for the morning routine tomorrow if you want to get your coffee, build your body awareness, and just chill and chat with the community. So, yeah, that's it for right now. We're going to start this session probably just about right now, I guess, since we're pretty much on time.
We only have one person, so do you want to give it one more minute?
Yeah, why don't we just give it another minute, see who else shows up. Have you shared this to your own timeline yet?
No, I have not, because we literally just started.
You go ahead and do that, and I'll just jump on my laptop and share it up there. So, I'll just talk to Brett about things.
Hey, Brett, I'm going to talk about some things. What things would you like to hear about right now, Brett?
Nothing in particular.
Okay, perfect.
Just waiting on people to show up.
So today is Sunday. Normally we would be having, well, normally DC, we would be having our Stun Coalition session, which would be run either by myself, Dylan, Roman Picardo, Logan Beveridge, Darren Hemmer, or all of those people combined. But of course, because of the current time that we are in, that is not happening. So for everybody who has been to the DC Stun Coalition, is used to their Sunday night training session, hopefully you're all going to join us soon and get at least a little bit of something going on tonight. And
why don't you just warm up for the camera?
People say things.
They do.
Yes, they do. Just gonna wait a little bit for Dylan to come back.
I'll come down in a minute. Just do some warm-ups with who's ever in the room.
There is nobody in the room. So I'm gonna stand here. I'm not gonna talk, maybe. Or I'll just stand here and stand awkwardly. While we wait.
We had 2 people for a second.
We did have 2 people for a second.
Of course, one of them might have been Dylan.
One of them I believe was in fact Dylan. One of them I think was also myself. So, great. Perfect.
So we're not talking to anybody right now.
Yes. How are you doing tonight, Brett? Brett, our cameraman.
I'm doing
Co-producer.
just whatever Dylan wants to call me at the time.
What do you want to call yourself?
Haven't thought of a name yet.
Because you are very, 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 very important, Brett, and we want to appreciate you, because we do.
Sorry, I'm looking at the camera.
Media manager, producer.
He's the producer.
I just called him that.
He's the producer.
He is the producer.
He produces.
Yes, he does, in fact, produce.
Well, we have 4 people. We have 4 people now. So.
All right, so let's get started. We don't know who else is really going to be in the room just yet, and that's not a big deal because really what's the important thing here is that we teach, and we just get that out of the way. So,
yes.
Just so that everybody's kind of aware, I know we're like flip-flopping all over the place. We are the ultimate parallax of excitement for Brett to have to deal with.
Oh, yeah.
The first piece of curriculum that we always try and start with a Saga Action Arts class is Action Flow, although let's just do a quick warm-up if Abra hasn't done one yet.
I have not.
All right, let's just get that neck going. Again, top-down check-in, just look over your shoulder, ear to shoulder, whatever works best for you. And let's just move those shoulders around a little bit, loosen them up, pulling through the back, crunching through the chest, open and close. Give yourself some body hugs and some back slaps. You can go slow, you can go harder. Abra, you can also do whatever you like for your shoulders right now. Give people alternatives. If this is the thing you like, that's
You know
totally
what?
cool.
I feel like going along with this.
Big circles if you want them. Big circles. Big circles.
You jump around and do your big circles.
You want to jump around while you do your big circles? I'm going to go back the other way with my big circles. Then I'm going to just look left and right as I twist. And then I'm going to just move my chest around.
Okay.
The opposite of hula hooping, as it were.
You can hula hoop with your upper body.
And then I'm going to hula hoop with my lower body.
Oh.
Oh man, we're just swinging arms and doing all sorts of crazy stuff.
So crazy.
Let's do some of those knee raise outside circles.
Dylan's legs are long, so I'm going to get out of the way.
You can go behind me.
I'm going to go behind him.
Yeah. 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 Maybe to the other side.
Probably to the other side.
Outside, outside, outside. 2, 3. Alright. Let's go a little DCSC. Let's do some stretch kicks.
Alright.
So you stand in the front, I'll stand in the back. Let's just go to the outside ones.
Okay.
Right. Let's do like 5 of the front ones.
Yeah, to get used to that.
Hands in the front. Kick your hand if you can.
If you can't,
If
do
you
not
can't.
bring your hand down. Just try to get as much of that stretch as you can.
Try and keep your legs straight. Hold the toes back. Really focus on also keeping your upper body upright. So you're stretching all the way through the back and the core.
Your base leg should not be coming up. You want to make sure that you are completely grounded, so do not come up onto the balls of your feet.
Your base leg should also be straight, so try not to bend the knee. Try not to bend either knee. All right, let's go out to our outside crescent kicks.
Or lotus. If you want.
Lotus, however you want to refer to them. That's how I was told them in Kung Fu many years ago by Fumi John Week. So,
Shout out.
left or right leg, however you want. The trick is to go forward and then out. The trick is to go forward and then out. The trick is to go forward and then out. So yeah, no, I'm not saying you're
Okay,
doing
yeah,
it
I
right.
wasn't sure
You're
you were
like a
applying-
master of
If
these.
you were applying something.
Open up those legs. All right.
Freezing.
All right, you want knees? Let's bend them
You
knees.
don't want to do inside?
Nah, let's just do the knees.
Okay.
All right, a little bit of a knee squat if you want to do it. Again, that's pushing forward with the knees and sitting straight down. All right. And then how about for ankles today? Let's just do some calf raises first. So just pop yourself up. And then here's like an idea. Do a calf raise on one foot, calf raise to the other foot. Oh yeah.
That feels fancy.
So fancy. And then here's another idea. Let's just play with this one.
Okay.
Sit down to that low squat, do the calf raise and jump into it. You feel that?
Yeah.
So we're pushing off through the balls of the feet.
Now, are you landing in your calf raise or are you landing?
I should be landing in my calf raise because I want to land ball of the foot to heel, not heel all the way flat down.
Okay.
So hold that extension as you're coming down and then sink into it. It's a great way to start practicing for, you know, those parkour jumps and everything where you want to land toes to heel rather than landing heel first. You never really want to do that out of a jump, as far as I know.
If you want also a variation on that, if you're feeling up to it, you can not even lower yourself at all. Just go straight from the balls of your feet.
This is why we think of you as a mad woman.
It's one of the reasons.
All right, so now that we've got the body kind of energized and we're ready to go, let's go through some action flow work. Again, that's using the ground from a vertical and horizontal perspective to try and create spherical motion. So things like, once you're eventually ready for it, Abra, why don't you just quickly demonstrate one of your Charlies?
Yep. Last time I did this, it slid over here, so I'm going to go this way.
I'm going to hold it for you.
Okay.
I don't think you're going to fall into me, right?
We'll see.
So this is like an advanced technique. A Charlie's Angel, as I learned it at Six Flags, or just a front suicide
Front
fall.
suicide, yep. And go.
Not bad. So, you know, you want to be able to move like that. Now, why don't you do one that's, can you do one that's a little Sayuchi-ish?
That's not, we'll see. Actually, no, I've done it on this. What am I talking about?
Ready? So here's your spherical motion just a little bit.
All right, let me just get that prep for a second. And go.
And she didn't go into the
I did
wall,
not
so
go
she
into the
saved
wall.
herself. We promise we have not been drinking before this session.
Normally when I have done that, it has been On
a little bit more space.
A little bit more space, and that had a bit more slide than I was anticipating, but you get the idea.
But we're kind of really just jumping into this session really fast. Yeah, so you'll be seeing a lot more of us doing some choreographed pratfalls over the next few sessions. Probably not so much tonight, but tonight, again, for you guys at home, part of what we want to do is build up the musculature and the movement skills that will help you build up stunt skills like that. Because even though Abra might have like toe tapped the wall a little bit, she didn't go through it, and that wall is 100% sheetrock. And she also did not hurt herself, and she landed the same way that she would typically land when she needs to land erect. So let's talk about the first move that I want us to get tonight. We're going to do a sprawl. This is kind of out of MoveNat. This is also kind of out of martial arts and wrestling, but I have a little specific approach on it that allows you to focus on a couple of the hinge points of the body. So my interpretation of the sprawl in this way is that the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go through my squat depth as best as I can. I'm going to lower myself down to the ground, put my hands down on the ground, and I'm going to shoot my feet back and hold my glutes nice and strong so that I'm not laying on the floor. That's an option that I want to be able to use. That's not a default that I want to end up in. And then from there, I'm going to hop back, feet outside the hands, and push myself up. You can either squat down or you can deadlift down. All right?
And I was just going to say, if you are familiar with yoga, that position that you end up in is basically an upward dog.
What's up, dog?
Thank you for that. You get the idea.
So, all we're going to do is that for you guys at home and for us here, we're both going to bust through 10 of these, not a whole lot, and then we might do a second set, but let's just try and get this first one done. So Abra's going to be facing that way, I'm going to be facing this way, just for the sake of the humor of it. Let's move some of these instruments of destruction to the side so that Abra doesn't have to worry about face planting a sword.
I mean, hopefully I have enough control to not.
All right, are you ready?
Yes.
So again, you can either squat down or you can kind of deadlift butt down. If you deadlift butt, it's going to help you get your hands nice to that slap position. If you squat down, then you have to put them down kind of separately, or you have to just kind of Spider-Man into it. Either way, it's whatever range of motion works better for you. Just get your hands to the ground and then kick out. So, on your marks, get set, 10. 1, 2. It's not quite a burpee.
Nope.
And the focus is on a very specific motion.
It's kind of like a squat thrust.
You should be kicking your feet as far back as you can so that they're fully elongated. 8, 9, and 10. So again, we're doing this type of exercise because we're training different ways to get to the ground. Do we have any viewers? We actually have a handful of viewers in here right now.
Great.
Do we have any comments?
No.
Feel free to let us know that you're in here, and feel free to share this on your timeline.
Yeah.
I like to point at the camera. Anyways.
I know.
So what can you do with this technique that would kind of help bring it more into the direction of what we were doing the last couple of nights? Well, if you wanted to do a forward roll and you needed to get to the ground, but it was in a way that was different from this typical I lower myself down this way sort of position, I like to create a sprawl roll. So what I like to do, and I'm going to stay off the mat for just a little bit, just to give myself the space, I like to go into that sprawl, lower myself to the ground, put one knee forward like Abra was saying the other day in one of our other training sessions, almost like a pigeon pose, and then go into my roll. If you don't have enough room for this in your home, you can still go sprawl into half roll. And this time we're going to do the half roll forward. I believe in the last session I taught half roll backward. So half roll forward is that I just get to this tipping point, I bring my legs up, and I bring them back down. I can bring my foot all the way over and toe tap the ground again if I want to, and then kick back. But there's all sorts of options that you can play with. The idea is just that you're not completing the roll and taking up all that space in your room. So if I need to do my toe tap and come back, to me, I would just call that a half roll. I'm getting to that point and I'm pushing myself back.
Actually requires a lot more body control.
It really does. I mean, if you want a core workout, do this on both sides 10 or 20 times. I'm only going to do it about 5 times. I'm not expecting you to do it on that floor right now. So here's how I'm going to break down this move.
But if a stunt coordinator wants me to, I would.
So give me a little bit of space. If a stunt coordinator wants me to, I will gladly take the 1040 a day.
Just throwing it out there.
The decibel point's at the end of the number. I put my body low to the ground, I plant my hands to the ground, kick out to my sprawl, lower one knee down, tuck, roll all the way through, push all the way back. Put my hands down, pop back up. So again, I'll do this 4 more times and then we'll be moving on from today's action flow technique. So, if I want to do it more of a deadlift style, push my butt out, hand slap down, kick out behind me, lower my knee to the ground, curl through, half roll back. I'll do it from this side. Going to lower myself to the ground. Make sure I don't kick a kettlebell. Area awareness is really helpful.
We're so very good at
Lower
that.
my knee down, tuck through, curl over, come back.
Would you like me to do anything with the mat?
Nope. One more from this side. I'm going to start more on the center of the mat, so you should see actually that I'll be able to control my half roll and not fall off the mat to my doom.
Or kick my computer.
Or kick Abra's computer. Lower myself down, tuck, come through, and come back. Last one, I'll go a little bit more sideways. So Abra, could you grab that corner?
Yeah.
Just so that they can see the toe tap kind of happen. Great. I'm going to make sure I don't kick Brett's door. Lower myself, sprawl out, tuck down, curl, roll through, come back. And I just came back up to standing rather than come back up through the sprawl. So lots of different options, but the idea is that I can tuck, sprawl, roll through, and roll back up. Lots of fun different ways to play with this. Is it going to ever apply directly to choreography? I would love to see how you throw that technique into choreography. Even if it doesn't, you're building up all these really wonderful body mechanics that I promise you are going to help you get better at your rolling, your tumbling, and your wrecking. And that's a big part of the reason why you want to get good at action flow. Sometimes I consider it the art of self-defense, because you're protecting yourself from any one of those times that you're running to see John Wick in theaters and you hit a curb and you fall and you roll and you're like, I'm okay.
You're also protecting yourself from yourself.
This is pretty much what I said.
You said it from everything else.
From everything else, yes, you're protecting yourself from all your dumb mistakes around yourself. So, with that said, that's a little bit of the rec flow, action flow tonight. I think Brett might look at us cross-eyed because we're done with this part of the curriculum before 7:20. So how are we doing on time?
On time. Well, it's been 18 minutes since we started.
We don't even know when we started.
Because I don't know what you're going to next. Because you're
well,
making
no,
these
you
freelance.
should pick up on the pattern by now. The next thing we're going to go to is the kickboxing. I don't know why you didn't say it out loud. Striking arts, kickboxing. S series for today. Give yourself a chance to take a break, grab some water. If you have boxing gloves, you're welcome to put them on. If you have a partner,
You're welcome to kick and punch them.
I suppose that's how that would work. Again, Abra and I are going to use mitts on both of our hands.
Otherwise known as gloves.
We're going to use gloves on both of our hands. I swear I'm going to survive 3 straight days of filming 3-hour-long shows. I swear I'm going to survive 3 straight days of filming 3-hour-long shows. I swear I'm going to survive 3 straight days of filming 3.
Well, you know, yesterday
and today.
You didn't actually film mine.
That's right, I only filmed 2-hour-long shows.
This one's not even done yet.
Alright, so, S series. Let's just review the numbers 1 through 9 really quick. So, Abra, this time you're going to feed me the combination, so you're going to hold the mitts for me, alright?
1.
1 is lead punch, which is your jab, followed by your rear kick, and bring it back.
I'm gonna go.
Yeah, I'll go right about there for you. Yeah.
All right, one again.
Jab, rear kick.
And one more time.
Jab, rear kick. So how about this? How about you say the number and I say the explanation, and we'll get through it even faster.
That sounds good.
All right, cool.
2.
2 is cross, lead kick.
2.
Cross, lead kick.
2.
Cross, lead kick. Shout that number out.
3.
3. 3 is rear kick, jab.
3.
Rear kick, jab.
3.
Rear kick, jab.
4.
4 is lead kick, cross. Lead kick, cross. Lead kick,
My bad.
cross. Come a little bit closer.
4.
Lead kick, cross.
All right, now we're moving on to 5.
5, 6, and 7 are ipsilateral combos. That means that they go on the same side of the body. So number 5 is your lead punch and your lead leg kick. So it's
5.
jab, lead leg.
5.
Jab, lead leg.
5.
Jab, lead leg. Come a little bit closer.
5.
Jab, lead leg.
All right, now we're doing 6.
6 is your rear punch to your rear kick. So it's your cross to your rear leg roundhouse kick.
6.
Cross, rear leg roundhouse kick.
And remember, he is not resetting, he is just going after the punch.
Big ball and chain.
6.
Cross, rear roundhouse kick.
And 6.
Cross, rear roundhouse kick.
One more time.
That was almost a little bit of a reset.
Just a little bit, so try not to.
Ready?
6.
Cross, rear roundhouse
There,
kick.
much more connected.
5, 6, and 7 are really about extension of the hip swing rather than this feeling of turning it back and forth. We'll go over that in a tutorial video where we get more in depth about it. But for now, we're just going to work through the rest of the techniques.
At some point.
At some point.
7.
7 is your lead
Kick.
your lead kick to your lead punch.
See, even we forget. 7.
7 is your lead kick to your jab.
And 7.
Lead kick, jab.
One more time. 7.
Lead kick, jab.
Now things are going to get a little different.
So now we're going to work on our 3-beat combos, 8 and 9. 8 and 9 are designed to mirror each other in that they're both going to have a hook, a lead hook, built into the combo at some point. The really cool thing about 8 and 9 is that they're going to create different movement provocations. That's going to come a little bit later, but for right now we're still going to hold mitts. So, with 8, Abra's going to tell me what the first target is.
8. And my target is you're using your leg to kick.
The weapon is the
Yes.
rear leg kick.
Yes.
So the rear leg kick comes out, comes back, lead hook, followed by cross, your rear punch. So,
8.
rear kick, lead hook, cross.
8.
Rear kick, lead hook, cross. Don't go so far away from me just yet.
8.
Lead kick, rear hook, cross. Your partner, if you have one, should kind of stay in that pocket for that hook because remember, I'm not reaching out that far. So as I'm coming back from this one, they need to give me that one so that I can hit that one. Because remember, it's not a reset beat, it's an and beat in the middle. So it's ba, da, ba. Okay? So,
They might have to move back a little bit on that cross though because the cross is long.
depends on the person throwing the punch.
It does depend.
Alright, so just work on your range and distance management with your partner. What's the next combo?
9.
Alright, so number 9, we're going to start with our lead kick, followed by our cross, our rear hand punch, followed by our hook, our lead hook. So,
9.
lead kick, cross, lead hook.
And 9.
Lead kick, cross, lead hook.
One more time. 9.
Lead kick, cross, rear hook.
Nice.
So what you'll understand about 9, once you kind of just think about it for 2 seconds, is that 9 is literally combo 4 with a hook. But this last 2 beats, that's what we're really trying to get good at. We're trying to get at this part where once I come in, I'm still firing on that and beat. And then if I'm working with Abra, and she's actually going defensive on 9, let's go a little bit closer so they can see what's going on. When I fire that lead kick, she's going to block it. When I fire that cross, she's going to parry it.
Go.
This is 9, right?
Yes.
And then when I fire that hook, she's going to bob or fade away from it. So she's staying more or less in distance, but she's using her upper body, very similar to the Saga CQC knife drill that we were doing.
Yeah.
To just get away from the highline attack. The really cool thing about this is that I can throw a short and she can move out of the way. I could technically throw a long and, no, still go out of the way. I could throw, no, still go, I could throw that long and she could go out of the way. This is why you need to communicate it. If I fire that lead kick and I fire that cross and she moves enough that now I can wind up. She's got all the time in the world to really move, and I can express that. So let's do that one more time. I'm just going to try and make it go a little bit wider. I'm not necessarily recommending everybody else do this at home, but this is to start training you on the choreography aspect of it. So I fire that lead kick, I fire that cross, she moves off the line, she can move, and then she can even bring her feet with her. So one more time, pull yourself out as much as you can. Just make sure that your head is leading your feet.
Okay.
So, 9. Now we can play in the danger zone. Danger zone! Which is allowing us to make our hand-to-hand combat look a little bit more realistic with filler beat combinations. Oh my god, you disappeared. With filler beat combinations before we get into our stacked hits. We don't need every punch and kick to count depending on the choreography. And what I mean by it not counting is when you get really good at 8 and 9, you don't want to think about your beats of choreography as this is one beat, this is one beat, this is one beat. You want to think about it as this is one beat. And all of a sudden you've programmed one beat of choreography, you can write it down really fast, do a 9, and you've moved your partner across the room, they've been engaged through the whole thing, we're aiming for true targets, but we're also being safe. One of the last things that I want to say about 9, and we're going to use this just to put a little idea into your brain about what you can do with this choreography at home when you're choreographing something with whoever you're with at the time.
Or if you're by yourself.
Yeah, or if you're by yourself, but we'll figure that out. I mean, maybe you step around. Anyways, the point is, what's really cool about the 8 and 9 combos with that hook is that we're going to do that hook short and stacked, so I can create a stacked ending to combo 9. What I'm going to do is I'm going to fire my lead roundhouse kick. She's going to block it. She's going to move off the line for my cross. And then on my 9, I'm just going to keep it stacked to my chest. I'm not going to express it as full distance and full range. I'm not going to reach for her. And crack, she's going to sell that hit. So one more time on that, and then we'll be moving on from S-Series tonight. Ready?
Yep.
And 9. And sell that reaction a little bit earlier and don't crash through pretzel.
Well, I was selling it.
Ready?
Yep.
And 9. Nice, and she's ready to go. Start playing with some of those concepts. One of the crazy things that we do in Saga Action, or something is stand framed, turn around, is that when I throw my jab in training, I'm aiming for true target. I'm not parrot punching, and I'm not parrot punching. The 9, the hooks for 8 and 9, are true target, they're just out of distance, but they could also be true target in distance. We would just prep a different reaction for our partner. They would either bob and weave, or they would cover. Because why should we be training martial arts movie fighting in a way other than martial arts when they work?
Yes.
So if I fire my jab, she can catch it. If I fire my cross, she can parry it. We'll go over those two techniques in a lot more detail in the next video session for the S-Series. But for now, just know that we're going to keep building on this stuff. It's up to you from here on out to know how to do 1 through 9 at speed. So by the next session, have those combos as best memorized as you can. And now we're going to wrap up the S-Series. So Brett, we're done with striking arts. How long did that take?
10 minutes, 15 seconds.
All right! I feel good about that one. Who's in the chat room with us tonight?
8 people, 9 people, but no...
Back and forth, back and forth. Watch the video with your friends now. I have no idea how these watch party things go.
Yeah, I was just like trying to get to it on my phone just to see if anyone was commenting that way, but I don't see anything.
So, if you're in the chat room, please just say hello real quick. We're going to pick up our sticks and we're going to go over our combinations real quick for the Saga 9 weapon system. No, our sticks are up here. We're just going to go back to single stick. We did double stick in the last session. And we're just going to talk about single stick just very briefly. just so that we get a refresher on what the lines are. And then we have a special treat for you. We're going to go into our two-handed weapon configuration right after this. So we're going to cram a lot into a short amount of time, but the goal here is to give you a lot of the basics so that we can start building on them with cool combos. Real quick, I want to illustrate something about where the stick fighting can go. Abra, I just want us to, at a medium speed, play through our stick trapping.
Yes.
So Abra's going to fire her angle 1. I parry it off. She goes for angle 2, 3. That is not 4.
That is not 4. Not go through this recently. We're gonna go through it again. We're gonna go
fire angle 1.
Yes.
Pluck.
My least favorite. How that's been. I'm going.
So based off of our 9 angles in the Saga 9 stick configuration, we have a lot of really cool things that we can play with. Even though Abra misled herself on the first combo, I believe I still blocked the line for what it was worth.
Yes, Abra forgot some things.
So the point is that everything that we're building up to turns into a lot of different options for both choreography and martial skill development. So just because we're going to make these current videos focus on mostly line and body mechanic development doesn't mean it doesn't go somewhere. In all Filipino martial arts that I've trained in, first you really need to learn the lines, or you need to learn the template of that system, and then you build off of it to create cool flow drills, and then you start really developing your fighting application skills. So it depends on the process of the different art, but for us right now, we just want people to learn the basic curriculum and start playing with it at home, get it into their bodies, and then we'll teach you how to express it further for different configurations. So, just to remind you, can you do the Xbox Connect thing?
Yep.
Excellent. Angle 1, right to left, open to closed. Angle 2, raise it up, left to right, or closed to open. Angle 3, flip it behind you, right to left, up, or open to closed, up. 4 is left to right, up, or open or closed to open, up. And 5, lower to your hip height, flip it back behind you, turn your hips, right horizontal across the body, right as in like along that line, not right, it's right to left. Flip it back over, open up that cut for 6. We'll talk about 7, 8, and 9 later, but I really just want to build these lines up first. So, one more time. Angle 1, raise it up. Angle 2, flip it over. Angle 3, drop it down, flip it over. Angle 4, drop it to your hip, flip it over. Angle 5, flip it over. Angle 6. And one more time, just so that everybody at home gets to play with it. Angle 1, raise it up. Angle 2, flip it over. Angle 3, drop it down, flip it over. Angle 4, drop it to your hip, flip it over. Angle 5, flip it over. Angle 6.
Actually, one more time without us counting the numbers out. Just follow along.
I'll still say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5,
Okay.
6. Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Now we can do it without the numbers. Ready, and go. Cool. So, now that we're done with that, we're done with showing it with sticks. Now what we're going to talk about is doing it with some of our favorite weapons, two-handed swords. Now, Rhett, if you, no, don't do that just yet, but what we have here is we have a plastic polypropylene ninja sword that you can get on Amazon right now, because that's the best way to get things at this moment, I think. And it's fairly durable. It's made out of rubber, plastic, polymer stuff. It's got a nice grip on it, and what I really like about the sword is that the blade is fairly thin, it's fairly light, it's easy enough to practice any single sword work if you need something and don't have something available, but it also works really well because it has enough of a grip to let you do two-handed sword work actions. It's also a little bit shorter, so if you're in a house, you can swing it around a little bit without having to worry about knocking everything over.
And if you happen to be a shorter person, you have
It
shorter
matches
limbs.
your body. So we like to think about this as the tool for building up ninja skills, and this is usually one of the first two weapons you might use if you're developing your action flow skill and putting a weapon into that. So, real quick, how do we use a two-handed weapon with lines 1, 2, 3, 4, and maybe 5? So Abra's going to face away. I'm going to face towards. I'm going to have the weapon in my right hand. I'm going to take my offhand, which in this case is my left hand, down and grip the bottom down near the pommel. Pommel means to pummel. And create that little lever action. I don't want to hold it with this tight grip. I want to have as much space as possible, depending on my flavor of sword play, just so that I can create that lever action. The next thing I'm going to do is that we are going to still set the sword, for now, up on our shoulder, and we're going to raise up on the ball of our rear foot just a little bit, right foot forward, left foot back, just like with the stick. Part of the reason why we're teaching this next is because it is one of the closer weapons to the stick out of our configurations. Now, I'm going to do the same thing that I did with the stick. I'm going to turn my hips and drop the cut. And what you'll notice is that because this is a blade, it's really helpful to have the tip still forward because every cut can become a thrust. So if I cut all the way back here, I no longer can thrust. There are fluid strikes that roll through. But for now, as you prep the cut, you turn your hips and you drop the cut. And that's angle 1. So you're just holding it with 2 hands. Now I raise it up. I have to flip it over. In order to do this, it's got to go up and around my head. My arms are now kind of crisscrossed, but I still just hold them there. I turn my hips, cut for angle 2. It's going to be a little bit harder to keep the tip pointed up, but try not to bring it straight down like this unless we say so, because there will be times where this is going to become really appropriate really soon. Build up that forearm strength first. Then I flip the sword over. I turn my hips again, fire for angle 3. Then I lower the sword down, flip it over, turn my hips again, and fire for angle 4. So everything is exactly the same as the 1, 2, 3, 4 for the stick. From here, this is where it gets really cool. Instead of going to 5 first, let's take this 4 high guard position and turn it into angle 1. What you'll notice is that my wrists are crossed. So all I have to do to go back down that line is uncross my wrists and turn my hip. So, if I was to lower down from my angle 4, raise up and cut, I just open up my wrist and turn for my angle 1 cut. Now let's do 1, 2, 3, 4 a couple of times, and we'll add 5 and 6. So, I'm going to prep for angle 1 on my shoulder, turn my hips and cut, raise it up, turn it over, raise, drop down and cut, flip it over, raise and cut, lower it again, flip it over, raise and cut. Now I'm just going to call out the numbers. On my shoulder, 1, 2, 3, 4. And from here we can go again. 1, 2, 3, 4. Where you turn the sword and how you're about to cut is dependent on a couple of things. Your awareness of what you're doing and the style that you're trying to present. If I'm cutting all the way through and I'm trying to make this look like a cut that was supposed to really reach for somebody, like for instance, if Abra's standing right there and just put like a shield guard up, if I'm aiming really aggressively my angle 1 and she's just backing away from it, I can make it look like I was putting everything behind that. But if I want to keep the tip forward after the cut and make it look like I was engaging her and she's about to like maybe thrust at me and I can roll it back in, I want to keep the tip forward. Or if I want to do my angle 1, keep the tip forward, now I'm ready to counter thrust and she might have to block. So it all depends on what your character is supposed to be doing. But if I did like a short angle 1 and we stop in the middle, long angle 2, and then I'll do a long angle 1. I'm going all the way through. So short, long, long. How about short, short, long? Block, block. Let me go through.
Am I coming from that rising, or am I going like a roof?
You are doing 1 and 2.
Okay.
So short, short, long. So let's just build up that rhythm real quick. What's going to happen is I'm going to drive her back on the first 2 strikes. Short, short, and then on long, we're both going to go to the side a little bit. She stands there. Short, short, long. And again, short, short, long. This is how I would build a narrative of defense, offense, aggression, and pressing kind of energy. Part of the fun thing is that we could turn this back around. Abra could throw the short shorts and be pressing towards me. Short, short, I could throw the long, and she's got to go back. So let's talk about that. She comes at me, short, short, I throw my long, she goes back. I'm kind of screwed now because I'm on point.
Yes.
But the thing is that she pressed me back with these short shorts. I came back with my long. We are aiming again for true target. She's aiming at my neck. I'm meeting her in the middle for the sake of choreography. If I want to make it more dramatic, absolutely, she can cut and I can crunch it in. But I'm still starting with aiming for the middle. If these are metal weapons,
be more careful.
Obviously be more careful. But if somebody tells you to block, where are you going?
Sorry, I don't want to see my
She just keeps disappearing on me. If somebody tells you to block and she cuts flat of the blade, I don't have an argument for that I feel satisfied with giving. All I'm going to say is really talk to that person and ask them why that's their preference. If they tell you to cut with the edge of the blade, in all of stage combat land, that seems to be what's accepted. But in some Filipino martial arts and some Japanese martial arts, they'll tell you to block with the flat. For the purposes of how we're training, I want you to use your sword to practice edge alignment. I want that edge to be the thing that's tracing the line for you as best as you can. So, one last time, 1, 2, 3, and 4. We're going to save angles 5 and 6 for later because we need to move on.
We're doing 1, 2, 3, 4 as long? Or medium?
Yeah, still as long. No, just the same way that we were doing.
Solo, okay.
Yeah. So just solo so that you at home can trace the lines and learn them yourself. Ready? 1, 2, 3, and 4. Ready? 1, 2, 3, and 4. And finally, ready? 1, 2, 3, and 4. Get that whole hip turn into it, move the arms in the right timing with it, and I promise you're going to be building up really useful mechanics that apply both to practical application and to choreography performance. Now, the last thing that I want to say is that we call this configuration two-handed sword. It could be a baseball bat, it could be a broomstick. My point is that, Brett, now if you could lower the camera down over to here for me, we brought a plethora of different trainer tools that we have. We have a trainer katana. This is also made out of hard plastic. We can bang these around together. They do function that way, but we still have to be a little careful. We have a really awesome and absurd polypropylene broadsword. I literally ordered this one just to see what it was like. This was back when we were building the Witcher fight. For the modern times.
Yeah.
Which I promised Jane we will get back to at some point, somehow, some way. This one's a little ridiculous, but it looks really cool. I will maybe post a link to this one in the description just to say which one we were using. And then finally, if you're stuck at home, also this is a cold steel one, but it's a baseball bat basically, as Josh Priest would say. Basically, if you're stuck at home and you don't have a two-handed weapon, you can get a PVC pipe, and if you gotta use it plain, you can use it plain. Or if you'd like to, you can get some gaff or duct tape and create your own handle. Just make it so that it has enough room for you to perform your lever action motion. And then here's the tricky part for most people. If you end up having a circular tool like this, which you could call dos manos in Filipino martial arts, Two hands. The hardest thing for you to develop with that configuration is going to be blade alignment or edge alignment. When Abra points that sword at me, it comes to an edge. When I point or swing this pipe at her, it is a big old tube.
Yeah.
Now, some of you all, I don't want to get sued, so I'm going to say, might think of this as a laser sword. And that's totally cool. But you still want to practice edge alignment so that you're not swinging it like this or swinging it like that. You have your knuckles in line with your forearm, the same way we were doing with the stick. So if you don't have an edge, you have a couple of options. One, you can tape an edge to one side so that you remember which side is the edge. Or two, start training yourself to just be aware of your knuckles and use those to guide your line. I don't have a problem with whichever choice you choose, but I do want you to make sure that you know which side you're trying to strike with. Yes, I'm fine with false edge strikes, but we'll talk about those in a way later video. The big purpose here is to give you a chance to make a tool for when you're going to do this. We probably should have announced something like this before we said, hey everybody, we're going to do a two-handed sword.
Maybe.
So, go back in the video, go back in time, grab a broomstick or something that's maybe 2.5 to 3 feet in length at the least. Longer if you really want to. Find a way to practice two-handed sword, and if you really like, send us a video of doing cuts 1, 2, 3, and 4. It doesn't have to be long. You can play around with it. You can do them in different orders. And we'll teach some more cool stuff in the Saga 9 weapons template in the next video.
Of course, if you do happen to have trainer swords, please use them.
Please feel free and encouraged to. And if you have a real steel, sharp, live blade sword, be frickin' careful or don't use it. Alright, moving on. Brett, how long is that segment?
11 minutes, almost 12 minutes.
Almost 12 minutes, so that's actually pretty short considering you crammed so much material into that.
That's true.
Alright, moving on to our fourth and final segment.
Yes.
Oh, we kind of rushed through that one. By comparison. Brett, what time is it?
7:46.
Hey.
This is what happens when we go at speed. So
now you just want to draw it out more?
Hi everybody.
Well, Penelope says hi.
Hi Penelope. Hi.
So we know the comments are working.
I'd love to get a check-in from who's ever in the room, or if you could send us some likes or loves or hearts or whatever. We do have one more piece of curriculum to go over tonight, and that would be the Saga CQC, except I actually forgot what we were going to develop for tonight with that. So, why don't we grab 2 mitts, and we'll talk about developing the long-range variations of Saga CQC. And these come out of Jeet Kune Do, so we'll just go right to these.
Yeah. Hey, Katie Poppy.
Hey, Katie Poppy.
Wait, I have to sneeze.
Thank you for sneezing into your arm.
Oh no. Oh no. No. No! Stay away from me!
Alright. Back at it. It smells like lilacs and lavender. Alright, so whether you're in a right-hand lead or a left-hand lead, you can use these 2 techniques. We've already talked about a concept around this when Logan made a comment about Saga S-Series strikes 5 and 6, where we're doing a lead hand tool followed by a lead foot tool.
And 7 too, just.
And 7 too, but I'm just blah 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 blah.
Yes.
So instead of firing a jab, if we're talking about either a self-defense or a real-world combative scenario, this is a technique that Bruce Lee really popularized. It's either called the bilji or the buji, depending on who's teaching it, and it just means a finger jab. So all I'm trying to do is just put your hands down. I'm not going to hit you or anything. I might touch your forehead, but all you're going to do is you're going to reach for whoever you're fighting and tap them in the eyeballs. I'm going to say tap them in the eyeballs because it doesn't take much. You're just trying to tap them in the eyeballs. I'm just touching Abra on the forehead for now. I'm doing that because I'm training to get my maximum reach from my maximum distance. I'm not doing it right here, although you absolutely could. We're talking about a long-range self-defense technique. What that implies is that if Abra's out of distance, and technically I got the reach on her, so this is going to be really helpful to me. If I'm in a right-hand lead and she puts up her rear hand glove or rear hand mitt, that's the one furthest away from me, I can hit it without having to change my footwork. I can just lean right into it. What you'll notice is that my rear foot is coming up off the ground a little bit, but then I'm rubber banding back. It's kind of elastico from Illustrissimo. It's that same foot raised to give me that extra 3 inches. Because I can't,
Yeah.
She's trying to beat it. I can't reach it here, but I can reach it if I just raise my rear heel. So, all I'm going to do is Abra's just going to hold up a mitt, and I'm going to tap it with my fingers. And so put them down, hold up a mitt, and I'm going to tap it with my fingers. Try and put a little bit more in front of you now, just so I have a little bit more true target.
Yep.
And you can hold up either mitt. So all I want you to do is that when you see me go, you practice going. Ready? Now slow it down, give me a little bit of a live footwork. So start moving around the room a little bit, focus on getting that energy out, work on your extension. Try not to step too far, too close. Try and make sure that you're stretching your body out and you're not collapsing.
And this is also a baiting tool, so even if you don't make contact, the idea is it might be
I might be picking something up, which is where we're going to go next.
Sorry.
It's all right. Tap.
Yeah.
Yep. Tap. Move around. And tap. So, if you're having trouble finding a way to do this where you can express your full range, I absolutely recommend, again, using our friend the wall. This is actually how I trained under Sifu JB when I first started at Maryland Jiu-Jitsu Academy. If my arm's bent even a little bit, it's not going to really work for what we're trying to develop. So I want to find the wall, touch it, move myself as far away as possible, and figure out how little I can move while reaching my full distance. And you can literally just pop the wall, walk in and out, pop the wall. If you have a punching bag, that's great. Train your fingertips carefully. It can really suck to just kind of jam them onto concrete or something like that. But if you tap, you're going to be okay. Just work your way up to it. And honestly, Abra presents that target. I don't have to go fast. I can train going slow, feeling that extension, and then feeling that pull back. So I don't have to go super duper fast. I can just train going slow and pulling it back. The next technique that we're going to talk about that Abra brought up is the groin kick, or the Now Tech in Jeet Kune Do. So I don't know if Now Tech means groin kick, but it's like a low roundhouse kick.
It's a low roundhouse kick.
I'm going to refer to this, it's either a Jik Tech or a Now Tech, it all depends. We just kind of used a catch-all term where we were doing our Now Tech. The point is that this very similarly to that lead hand is going to just be kind of like a full extension kick without a lot of footwork. So I could do a full pendulum step to get into distance, but really what I'm trying to do is I'm just trying to shove my hip and throw my foot. I shove my hip and throw my foot. So I'm not stepping first, I'm throwing my body into the kick because I want to telegraph as little as possible. I could even throw the foot first if I have the right movement and throw the body weight behind it, but that might end up crashing me into my partner. So play around with that kind of energy. But now what I want you to remember is S-Series Combo 5. You can hold the glove 5.
Where?
Yep. Jab, lead kick. It's basically the same thing. So if I do 5, and if I do 5, that's a kickboxing variation on the same technique. So if I want to do it as a self-defense sort of thing, she's going to hold the mitt up for me just so that I can touch it. She doesn't have to feed me back anything. And then I just skip right in to that kick. I bait high.
My back.
I bait high. I go low. If you want to, you can cover opposites. Yep, so yeah, you can do that. Now cover the... Figure one out.
Yeah.
That's fine. Bop, bop. So, the implication being that if Abra, relax for a second, if she was somebody on the streets coming after me, and she's kind of like got an aggressive sort of look going for her, she's got her hands up, she's ready to throw down, again, just like she was saying, I could finger jab high, and if she goes for that bait, I know that she's open on her low line, so I would just kick low. If I'm close enough, I can just kick right to the groin, and maybe make the fight go a little bit shorter than it would originally go. The point is that this starts from out of range. Abra isn't starting in my range. When we were doing our crash work, when she threw that haymaker, she was already in my range. That's the shield work from last night. In this case, I could run, I should run, but maybe I'm worried that Abra's in better shape than me, and if I run, even though I got long legs, she's going to hunt me down and, you know, eat me.
No, I mean...
Right, so I'm too gangly, I guess. Anyways, the point is that she's out of my range, and I need to do something to distract or
keep me from coming into your range.
Keep you from coming into my range, but really I'm thinking like agitate or throw you off or dissuade you from coming closer. This is a dissuasion shot. So Abra's coming towards me, and I finger jab. Abra's coming towards me, and I finger jab. Abra's coming towards me, and I finger jab, and then I run. At that point, at least I've got them doing something else. Now, if I do the finger jab, and she does cover it, and I go for that kick, and then I run even better, because at least I've done a little bit of damage, and now I can get my way out the door, and it's going to slow them down for 10 seconds. It's that whole, like, let me just throw the trash can in the alleyway sort of moment. One last thing we'll do to break this one down. We'll do the inverse. So, I'm going to go for the kick first, and then I'm going to go for the head. Kick, head. You can hold the mitt now. Kick, finger jab. Kick, finger jab. This kick, as low telegraph as possible. So, if I'm throwing the kick first, I can literally just raise the foot, as long as they're in my range. I just tap, finger jab. I could also just tap, punch, if I really need to. The point is that Abra take a step back, this person comes in, that foot comes in the range, boom, I hit him and then I go. Obviously in Jeet Kune Do, there's a, well not so obviously, but to us I guess, there's a move called the Jeet Tech, a stop kick, where I just put my foot forward and completely check them from coming into distance. Once I check them forward and stop them from coming into distance, then I can use my finger jab. So, Abra comes forward, I kick, and I go. Either way, I'm just trying to put my foot to their knee, to their inner thigh, to their ankle. Whatever's happening is that I'm stopping them and then hitting them high. A lot of us, especially me, have this weird idea that if someone kicks low, you can actually parry it with your hands. It's not a good idea.
Recommended.
I really need to work on that in Savate apparently, because I learned something in my head wrong, different than how I was taught.
Same.
Let's come a little bit closer.
Honestly.
But if you get that one shot where you kick and they reach, you've got what you need. Not saying it's always going to happen. It could happen. I can do it with the rear leg. They reach, boom, I've got the face. Most importantly, I need to send intention low. So I can fake with the leg and go high. I can fake with the leg and punch high. These are all those kind of options. And when Bruce Lee started putting these moves into choreography, he basically went like, wah, made the person reach up, and then kicked them as hard as he could in the crotch, and that was the choreography. It was the broken rhythm of like, you're going here, no, you're going here. And those fake outs became really popular. Not just in choreography, but also in real martial arts. And it's probably one of my favorite combinations in all of Jeet Kune Do that I've learned. So I like throwing it into Saga CQC as just this idea that if the person is out of range and I need something to do, I go for the eyes, I go for the kick, or the person's out of range, I go for the kick, I go for the eyes. If you're a really long, tall, lanky person like one of our students, Maria, it's a great combination to use because you will keep people away from you. And then you run the other way. So that's it on Saga CQC for tonight. I think that's just a good little tool to give people to play with. If you have any questions about it, be sure to hit us up in the comments or send me a message. And you can take the mitts off and we're just going to sign out in a few minutes. So, what time is it, Brett?
It's 7:58.
We beat the clock.
Yes, we did.
So, is anybody chatting with us? Let's bring it over here.
Yes. All right.
No, you can keep it up here. You don't have to sit down. Put it up here.
Fine.
All right.
For
So,
the wicked.
what we got going on in here tonight?
Well, Katie says hi.
Yeah.
Hi. Thanks for the eye holes.
Aim for the eye holes.
Aim for the eye holes. I like that one. Hey, you. Katie and Penelope are playing with us. It's fine.
Yeah.
Whew. Hey, Christopher Smith. Thanks for jumping in.
Yeah, thank you, Chris.
So did everybody have fun tonight? We kind of really blew through a lot of curriculum, but we figured tonight we would just try and get more on pace with the momentum that we're trying to create here. I think we're going to go until just 8:05 if people are still in the chat. No worries about sticking around if you have to go and do, excuse me, something else. But yeah, does anybody have any questions about anything that we taught tonight? Or are you looking for any feedback on anything? Or do you want to just say hi? We'd love to chat with you for a few minutes.
On this Sunday night.
I gotta remember to do my hair before these videos. It's so boring when it's just like draped down.
Yeah, at least your hair is kind of in control as opposed to mine.
We've been listening to epic music while training tonight. Looks like we have a few people in the room.
We do.
I promise we're not just standing around doing nothing. We're waiting to hear back from you. In the meantime, I'll at least go over some of the stuff that we covered. Tonight in Action Flow, we covered the sprawl to the forward half roll. In our S-Series class, we reviewed 1 through 7, and then we broke down a little bit more 8 and 9, and we talked about how you can start building applications for 8 and 9. For our Saga 9 weapons work, we reviewed angles 1 through 4, and I believe 5, 6 with the stick.
Yes.
And then we carried on into two-handed sword play, where again we went through angles 1, 2, 3, and 4, and we did a little bit of demonstration work with the difference between shortcuts and long cuts. Shortcuts and long cuts, if we want to build them into choreography or practical application training, we can make an entire curriculum video about that. And we do have a set that we'll teach at some point called the odds and evens drill, which will teach you how to use the applications of 2, 4, 6, both in choreography, not 2, 4, 6, the applications of odds and evens, longs and shorts, not just in choreography, but also in practical application. I've been told by Dr. Brian Stoops and a couple of other dog brothers that my odds and evens drill is actually really practical. So we'll probably give that to you in a few sessions from now. We just gotta get you through the rest of the numbers. Finally, we did our Saga CQC. We covered a couple of JKD attacks. The Bugie or the Bilgie, the finger jab, followed by the now tech or the jig tech. Either way, it's just a low leg kick with as little telegraphing as possible. Both moves are done with extension so that you can attack somebody from out of distance who's trying to enter your range, and again, dissuade them from doing so.
Coming into your range.
Coming into your range and staying there. So, with all that said, I'm looking to see if anybody else has sent in anything to say.
Thank you,
Penelope, for inviting people in.
Yeah.
Yeah, and thank you for being here, Christopher Smith. If you really like what content is in this video, please feel free and sure to share it on your own timeline to let people know that you're training along with us. Now, we are going to make this announcement specifically. There will not be a 7 o'clock class tomorrow night. Abra and I are going to take a break, review what we've done, and consider what our next piece of curriculum is going to be. There will not be necessarily, I don't think, a 1 p.m. workout.
We'll get back to you on that.
We'll get back to you on that, but there will be a morning routine. One thing we would love to announce is, and I believe we said 4 o'clock, right?
Yes.
If we get enough requests, we just want to hear from you guys. So if you're watching the videos, you can either send us an email, send us a message, or write something in the comments. If we get a request by, let's say, noon tomorrow, and we'll make a couple announcements throughout the day just to be sure if we catch anybody, we will do an in-demand intensive at 4 p.m. until about 4:45 on whatever technique, weapons configuration, or set of moves that you've seen us do that you would like us to cover. So if you'd like a broken down explanation on anything specific, hit us up. We'll pick one at random, basically whichever one we feel like we can provide the best material for. And then we'll make sure to shout that person out in the show at 4 p.m. tomorrow. So with that said, that's it for the Saga Live Skill Development Session number 3, day 3. We are happy to be here and happy to be doing this. We've got producer Brett on the camera in the back of the room, staring a hole into our heads so that we can just get this done and get to the movie watching and chilling that we all need after working out super hard. Thank you for staying on a schedule with us. Thank you for being involved in our community. We hope to see you tomorrow starting at 9 a.m.